The edge of the Ever-Dusk Forest was always darker than the rest of the sky, as if the sun had forgotten that people lived in the little village that called itself Dusk Edge. That evening the chapel bell rang for the third time, and the twilight still refused to fade. In that moment, everyone understood that the darkness in the old forest had stopped being just a story. They herded themselves into the squat stone chapel at the center of the village. Each of them carried a trembling oil lamp or a half-burned torch. The flames refused to swell, guttering as if strangled by an invisible hand. On the eastern wall, a blot of darkness was spreading like spilled ink. There was no candle anywhere near it, yet the darkness there kept thickening. 3 more gone last night, village elder Bram said, his voice rough. Bram laid a broken necklace and a charred wooden charm on the altar. They were all that had been found near the forest path. If we keep waiting, Bram said, there will be no one left in Dusk Edge to do the waiting. A young woman held a feverish child in her arms, her eyes rimmed red. The lamps in my house went out one by one, she whispered, even with the oil still full. It drank the light. Several villagers nodded, adding stories of flames shrinking into the hearts of their lanterns and dying without a sound. No one dared call it bad luck or an accident anymore. We have to appeal to the sanctum of the first light, Bram said. He turned toward the stone statue of a saint holding a gilded flame. If anyone still understands this kind of darkness, it's them. A rough wooden table was dragged into the center of the room. The village's best scribe, Maren, sat down at it with a scroll and an ink pot. Maren sharpened her quill, then began the letter with a trembling hand. Under the weakening lamplight, Maren wrote of the Ever-Dusk Forest, the vanished, and light devoured alive. Every time she lifted her gaze from the page, Maren saw the darkness on the wall a little larger. Who will carry it? Someone asked from the back of the room. Silence poured out like cold water, filling every corner of the chapel. At last, 3 stepped forward, Bram, Maren, and a broad-shouldered young man named Corin, the last woodsman still willing to stand near the tree line. Bram clenched a hand over his chest. Maren hugged the scroll, and Corin rested his calloused palm on the haft of the axe at his belt. They bowed before the statue, the gilded flame casting a faint reflection in their eyes. Before a false dawn smeared pale color behind the purple clouds, Bram, Maren, and Corin left Dusk Edge. They carried a letter sealed in wax, stamped with a blazing spear, the sigil of the Order of the Dawnspear. Behind them, the Ever-Dusk Forest watched in perfect silence. Many days later, the capital city of Ilarion rose out of the morning haze like an island of white stone floating on a sea of gray rooftops. At the city's heart, the tower of the sanctum of the first light speared the sky, its pinnacle cradling an eternal flame like a star held captive. 3 gate wardens before the sanctum traded glances as Bram, Maren, and Corin limped across the square. Their cloaks were crusted with road dust and soot. The red wax seal on the leather pouch at Bram's chest remained unbroken. Urgent message. From Dusk Edge, Bram managed, his voice cracking from exhaustion and cold. One of the gate wardens took it from Bram, glanced at the sigil of the Order of the Dawnspear, then turned and ran up the steps. Inside the sanctum, the light never fully went out, yet today it seemed somehow tired. High Priest Elias Rowan stood before the central altar, eyes half closed, one hand resting on a shallow basin of glowing coals. When the gate warden knelt and offered Bram's leather pouch, Elias Rowan opened his eyes. Elias Rowan took it, inspected the seal, then snapped the wax with a brief squeeze of fingers all too used to bad news. Elias Rowan's eyes moved over Maren's careful lines, and the color drained from his face like water from the bottom of a cup. Light being eaten, Elias Rowan repeated, almost disbelieving, yet the ink on the page remained. Elias Rowan turned to the gate warden. Summon the Order of the Dawnspear to the northern hall, and send for Lysandra Crowe. In the northern wing of the sanctum, the training hall of the Order of the Dawnspear rang with the sound of steel on steel. Sir Garrick Thorn lowered his wooden practice sword to his shoulder and signaled a halt as the messenger rushed in. The dark scar at Sir Garrick Thorn's neck, a jagged line like burned ink, stood out under the torchlight. "The High Priest summons you to the northern hall," the soldier told Sir Garrick Thorn, still catching his breath. "And Sir Aiden Vale as well." Near the far end, Sir Aiden Vale, sweat-tangled hair and real sword in hand, jolted, almost dropping his weapon. "What trouble now?" Sir Aiden Vale muttered. But Sir Garrick Thorn shot him a look sharp enough to cut off any complaints. "We move," Sir Garrick Thorn said curtly to Sir Aiden Vale. "Bring the real blade." In another wing of the sanctum, Lysandra Crowe stood before a wall of ancient runes that glowed faintly like banked embers. Light trailed from the tip of Lysandra Crowe's staff in a thin line, touching a symbol before withdrawing again in apparent displeasure. The door swung open and a gray-robed acolyte poked his head in, looking at Lysandra Crowe hesitantly. "Lady Crowe, High Priest Elias Rowan requests your presence in the northern hall. It seems urgent." Lysandra Crowe cast one last glance at the rune wall, then turned away, her dark cloak dragging a thin smear of light across the stone floor. The northern hall was a long chamber with a round table of white stone at its center, like a giant coin set in shadow. Elias Rowan was already waiting there. Marin's letter from Duskedge spread open before him, its ink shimmering faintly as the lamplight touched it. Sir Garrick Thorn and Sir Aiden Vale entered first, the smell of training sweat still clinging to their armor. Lysandra Crowe arrived last, silently drawing out a chair and sitting opposite them. Elias Rowan slid the letter toward Sir Garrick Thorn, Sir Aiden Vale, and Lysandra Crowe. "Duskedge," he said, "is losing its light." Sir Aiden Vale read the lines about dying lamps and the spreading stain on the wall, and felt his neck grow cold. Sir Garrick Thorn skimmed the words, then almost reflexively covered his dark scar with one hand. "Exact words. It drinks the light," Lysandra Crowe read softly, tapping the page's edge with one finger. "This is not ordinary darkness," Lysandra Crowe added. "This is a habitat." Elias Rowan nodded slowly. "I believe a creature was born from the failed ritual in the Ever-Dusk Forest." Elias Rowan touched the table and faint carved lines flared to life, sketching the shape of the forest and the land around it. "You will depart before the sun sets," Elias Rowan said. "The Order of the Dawnspear will bring light to Duskedge and find out what lives in their dark." Sir Garrick Thorn placed a fist to his chest and dipped his head. "We'll go." Sir Aiden Vale mirrored the gesture, though his hand trembled slightly. Lysandra Crowe only inclined her head, but the light around her staff's tip brightened just a little. As they left the hall, Sir Aiden Vale glanced out a narrow window toward the west, where the sky was already darker than it should have been. "They say that forest has no night or day anymore, only dusk," Sir Aiden Vale murmured to Sir Garrick Thorn. "Then we'll bring it at dawn," Sir Garrick Thorn replied, without looking back. Far beyond Ilarion's outer walls, the shadow of the Ever-Dusk Forest lay on the horizon like a bruise, and somewhere within that layered darkness, a creature stirred, the Lumina hunter, sensing that light was preparing to move against it. Ever-Dusk Forest swallowed the party from the very first steps. The last light of Duskedge vanished quickly behind Sir Aiden Vale, as if the village had never existed. "Don't look back," Sir Garrick Thorn said quietly. "If we turn now, we won't take another step forward." Corin walked at the front, axe on his shoulder, using the haft to push aside thorned branches like gray fingers clutching at their cloaks. "The roots here weren't like this before," Corin said. "They crawl up out of the ground like they're searching for something to cling to." Lysandra Crowe watched in silence, fingers tightening on her staff, the light at its tip as thin as a breath. "Don't let the light burn too bright," Lysandra Crowe warned. "Here, that's an invitation." Sir Aiden Vale lowered his lantern, trying to shield its yellow light from the thick black canopy. It was above. The forest was not loud. It merely listened. When the ground began to slope downward, Corin raised a hand for them to stop. "This place," Corin whispered. "It used to be clear ground. Now it's..." Before them lay a broad depression where the roots of a massive ancient tree twisted together, clutching squared stone slabs like exposed bones. Sir Garrick Thorn squinted. "An altar," he said, "or what's left of one." They picked their way down the slick slope, stepping between roots like wooden serpents. Up close, Lysandra Crowe saw faint carvings on the stone surface, ancient runes half devoured by moss. Lysandra Crowe knelt, using a thin blade to scrape away moss, revealing characters twisted like bent light. Sir Aiden Vale stood behind Lysandra Crowe, hand tight on his sword hilt, eyes sweeping the dark canopy.
Is anyone there?
Sir Garrick Thorn and Corin fanned out around them, testing the ground with their boots, searching for any hidden hollows beneath the mulch.
These stones.
This wasn't just a
They
place
hold
of
a power
prayer,
unlike any I've
Lysandra
encountered
Crowe
before.
said softly. It was where they tried to control light. Sir Garrick Thorn came back toward Lysandra Crowe. "Control it how?" he asked. Lysandra Crowe pointed to a circle of runes broken in several places. "It wasn't just calling light down," she said. "It was forcing light to drive something else away." "A primordial darkness," Lysandra Crowe whispered, touching the symbol that denoted it. "It used to sleep beneath this forest." "So the failed ritual woke it," Sir Aiden Vale said, feeling cold sweat down his back. "Perhaps," Lysandra Crowe replied. "Or worse, the ritual tore a piece of it away and turned that piece into something new." Corin called out, "There's something over here!" Corin knelt beside a root cavity and pulled out something caked in mud and rot, a leather-bound book swollen from damp. Sir Garrick Thorn stepped over, blocking part of the canopy above Corin, his hand still resting on his sword hilt. Lysandra Crowe took the book from Corin, the leather cover gone soft like flesh after years of damp. Inside, the thin yet precise handwriting of a priest emerged, blurred in places by water and time. "A journal," Lysandra Crowe said. "A priest of the sanctum. They were here when the ritual was cast." Lysandra Crowe read aloud, slowly. "We haul the light down like rope, bind it around the forest, force it to drive back the darkness breathing beneath the roots. The light trembles as if pulled back upward," Lysandra Crowe continued. "It does not wish to remain. It is running away." Sir Aiden Vale shivered. "The light running away?" he echoed, "as if it's afraid of something here." Lysandra Crowe flipped toward the last pages, where the ink began to bloom like blood in water. "Here," Lysandra Crowe said softly, "the final passage." She read, "The light is being hunted. It no longer merely shines for us. It runs. It hides." The next line stretched out, the ink thinning as if an invisible hand had seized it and dragged it off the page. In the end, there was only a long, broken stroke of black, and then bare parchment. No more words. "Ink doesn't fade like that," Sir Garrick Thorn said hoarsely. "It was taken." Like, Sir Aiden Vale faltered, searching for the word. Like something drank both the words and the light. "We need a clearer look around here," an unnamed Dawnspear knight said, lifting a bundle of torches. Sir Garrick Thorn nodded to him. "Light only one," he instructed. "Keep the flame small." The knight crouched, struck flint to steel. Sparks jumped, caught on dry pitch, and the flame started as a tiny yellow sliver. Sir Aiden Vale leaned a little closer, watching the flame as if it were the last ordinary thing left in the forest. The flame flared brighter, seeming ready to spread evenly along the torch. Then suddenly, Sir Aiden Vale saw it shrink, like a frightened animal. The flame pulled itself into the heart of the torch, dragging the surrounding light with it, then vanished in absolute silence. No smoke, no ember, not a dying spark. Only a cold stick of wood remained in the knight's hand. Sir Garrick Thorn snatched the torch, pressed his fingers to the wood. "Cold as stone," he said, as if it never burned. "Not wind," Sir Aiden Vale whispered. "Not a dispelling spell. Like an invisible mouth swallowing it," Corin said, eyes locked on the torch tip. Lysandra Crowe extended her hand, palm up, summoning a tiny point of light on her skin, weak as a firefly.
This is not right.
The light trembled,
Something is amiss
shrank,
here.
then jerked sideways toward the heart of the forest, leaving Lysandra Crowe's hand empty. Sir Aiden Vale felt as if someone had blown out the warmth around them. Gooseflesh rose on his arms. "It's hungry," Lysandra Crowe said, her voice almost emotionless. "Hungry for light." Sir Garrick Thorn tilted his head back, staring up into the canopy where no light could pierce. "Do you see that?" Sir Garrick Thorn asked, his voice slowing. "Right up there." Sir Aiden Vale narrowed his eyes in the direction Sir Garrick Thorn pointed. On the forest ceiling, between the leaves, a smear of black smoke clung to a trunk like a burn mark. The smoke didn't drift. It was thick, solid, and shifted by tiny increments as if it had slender legs crawling.
"Look up."
Lysandra Crowe drew in a slow breath. "A byproduct," she said. "That is not what this ritual was meant to touch." "Then what was the main thing?" Sir Aiden Vale asked, eyes still fixed on the smear of smoke. "A bigger darkness," Lysandra Crowe answered.
The dark smear above
"What's
us
up there
represents
is a
tear
torn
in the fabric
fragment,
of reality.
a hunter born from its wound."
I never
The black smear on the forest ceiling turned slightly, as if facing the faint light at the tip of
This path,
Lysandra Crowe's
once
staff.
walked by
Sir
heroes,
Garrick Thorn placed a
now
hand on
demands
Sir
a
Aiden
sacrifice.
Vale's shoulder and tugged him out. "Step back. Let's not give it more reason to notice us," he murmured. The black smear wriggled faster, as if annoyed, then slithered deeper into the canopy, vanishing from sight. Once more the forest fell utterly still, continuing to listen. "We found the traces of the failed ritual," Lysandra Crowe said, "and what was born from it." Sir Garrick Thorn looked back at the broken runes on the altar, then up at the canopy where the black smear had vanished. "And perhaps," he added, "only a small part of what truly sleeps beneath this forest." Night fell over the Ever-Dusk Forest like a wet blanket, heavy and slow over every branch. Sir Garrick Thorn's party chose a narrow clearing between trunks where the roots were least tangled to make camp. At Sir Garrick Thorn's signal, the Dawnspear knights began setting small lanterns and stubby candles around the edge of the clearing, forming a circle of dim light. Lysandra Crowe stood at the circle's center, touching her staff to the ground. Several tiny lights like fireflies appeared, hanging in the air. "Keep them weak," Lysandra Crowe said. "The brighter the light, the more it craves it." Sir Aiden Vale knelt beside a lantern, adjusting the wick until the flame was no bigger than a thumbnail. Corin drove in tent pegs and tied guy ropes, but his eyes kept darting beyond the circle of light where the forest thickened. When the work was done, the weak lights formed a thin ring around them, like a silver rope stretched between two worlds. Sir Garrick Thorn sat on a fallen log, removed his helm, and wiped sweat from his brow. "Eat something, all of you," he said. "Tonight will be long." Sir Aiden Vale chewed his hard bread without really tasting it, eyes lifted toward the small patch of sky visible through the canopy. The moon hung there, round and pale, but its light seemed veiled by a sheet of black. "The canopy isn't that thick," Sir Aiden Vale murmured. "The moon used to cut right through it." Sir Garrick Thorn followed his gaze, voice rough. "Not the branches. Something else is standing between the moon and us." Lysandra Crowe poured water from a skin into her palm, sniffed it, then spilled it onto the ground where it vanished instantly into the black moss. "Everything here is thirsty," Lysandra Crowe said. not just what hunts the light. The wind died. The insects went silent, as if the forest were holding its breath. The tiny lanterns and candles around them suddenly looked lost, like stray dots of light adrift in an ocean of ink. Sir Garrick Thorn told everyone to be quiet, leaving only the sound of breathing and the faint clink of armor. Sir Aiden Vale felt something change in the darkness. It was no longer emptiness, but something with weight and shape. "Sir Garrick Thorn," Sir Aiden Vale whispered. "Do you see the ground over there?" Just beyond the light circle on the carpet of fallen leaves, slender legs of shadow as thin as dead twigs were slowly crawling inward. Corin drew in a sharp breath. "Those aren't roots," he said. "Roots don't crawl toward the light." The shadow legs multiplied, writhing like a swarm of giant insects, curling around stones, roots, even the boots of the knights on watch. Lysandra Crowe raised her staff, the light at its tip brightening slightly, revealing the shadow lines spreading over the ground like veins. The shadow legs recoiled slightly, as if irritated, then began to gather toward an empty space between two lanterns. From that point, thick black smoke began to rise, like a shadow trying to stand up from the earth. At first it was only a vague mass. Then the shadow legs latched onto it, inflating that body into the shape of a giant ghostly spider. Its body was made of swirling black smoke, layers of shadow overlapping, sometimes thick as tar, sometimes almost translucent. On its indistinct head, two pairs of red eyes appeared, not blazing but smoldering like half-burned coals. Sir Aiden Vale saw that the light from those eyes did not spill outward, but seemed to pull the surrounding light inward. "Hold your ground," Sir Garrick Thorn roared. "No one leaves the circle." The Lumina hunter slid one long shadow leg into the circle, lightly touching the nearest candle. The candle went out at once, its light sucked into the limb as if into a black hole. The creature's smoky mass darkened slightly. The Lumina hunter repeated the motion, touching a lantern. Then one of Lysandra Crowe's light orbs. Each time, a patch of shadow on its body grew denser. "It's eating our light," Corin said, his voice gone rough. The darkness beyond the circle thickened, slowly becoming hazy walls of black that blocked them off from the trees. An unnamed Dawnspear knight tried to step back, but after 3 strides his chest slammed into an invisible surface as hard as stone. He turned left, ran a few more steps, and struck another dark wall, then realized he had circled back to where he started. "It's bending our paths," Lysandra Crowe said, eyes fixed on the dark plains. Sir Aiden Vale tried sprinting diagonally toward a tree he'd seen 3 times already, but each time he plunged into the dark, he emerged again at the edge of the light as if he hadn't moved. "We're trapped in a loop," Sir Aiden Vale panted. "It's turning the forest into a maze." The Lumina hunter circled the ring, each shadow step stealing another patch of light until only a few feeble sources remained. "This won't hold," Sir Garrick Thorn said to Lysandra Crowe. "If we let it feed like this, we'll be blind before we can retreat." "We need a shock," Lysandra Crowe replied. "A burst of light strong enough to push it back, then gone at once." Sir Garrick Thorn turned to Sir Aiden Vale. "Remember the light right sanctum taught you?" Sir Aiden Vale swallowed. "The one that makes the blade shine," he said. "They said not to hold it for long." "Today is an exception," Lysandra Crowe said, laying her hand on Sir Aiden Vale's sword. "I'll feed it light. You just strike." Sir Aiden Vale closed his eyes, whispering the right. Lysandra Crowe murmured along, her voice braiding with his as she poured light from her staff into the blade. Sir Aiden Vale's blade flared, not like fire but like pale blue dawn, forcing the Lumina hunter to recoil half a step. The Lumina hunter screamed, but its scream did not ring outward. It drove straight into each skull like a spike. Inside Sir Aiden Vale's mind, the sound shattered into hundreds of cries, pleas, and screams of, "Don't let it go dark. Don't leave us in the dark."
I don't know if I can.
Sir Garrick Thorn dropped to one knee, teeth clenched, eyes wide but no longer seeing the camp clearly. Several unnamed Dawnspear knights let their shields fall, whispering,
By the light of
"It's useless. Useless. There's no dawn left." Corin clamped his hands over his ears, but the echo still poured in, bringing with it the sensation of falling endlessly through thick darkness. For Sir Aiden Vale, amid that shattered sea of sound, a string of words rose clear like foam on water. Return. The root. The source of light. The Lumina hunter jerked back further, its smoky body torn where the blade had cut, spraying tiny shards of light like broken glass. Those light shards hit the ground and died. But in that instant, the ring of light around the camp shoved outward a few paces. "Now!" Lysandra Crowe shouted, her voice cutting through the echo in everyone's heads. "Fall back to the ruins!" Sir Garrick Thorn surged to his feet, hauling a kneeling Dawnspear knight upright. "Follow her light!" he roared. Lysandra Crowe swung her staff, not to make a brilliant orb, but a dim streak of light running along the ground like a guiding rope. Sir Aiden Vale ran after Lysandra Crowe, still dazed, the blade in his hand slowly dimming like a lantern being turned down. Corin and the remaining Dawnspear knights took the rear, turning back just enough to see the Lumina hunter slithering after them, keeping its distance like a beast not yet sure if it should pounce again. More than once, Sir Aiden Vale felt he was circling back to the old campsite. But whenever Lysandra Crowe's guiding light flared, he saw new boulders, new roots, the loop no longer completely closed. At last the forest opened into another clearing, the ruins of a small stone chapel, its roof mostly fallen, only the back wall and a cracked altar remaining. On the altar, a very faint glow, almost invisible, seeped from the cracks in the stone like embers that refused to die. "This was an old sanctum outpost," Lysandra Crowe said, exhaling. "The light here was tied to the source a long time ago." Sir Garrick Thorn motioned for everyone to gather within the broken stone walls. They relit a few lanterns. This time, the light didn't flare but burned dimly and did not get sucked away. Outside, the Lumina hunter circled along the tree line, unwilling to step into the faint light anchored to the ruins. Sir Aiden Vale sat with his back against the wall, cold sweat still running down his spine, the words from the echo refusing to fade. "Return, the root, the source of light." "What did you hear in its scream?" Sir Garrick Thorn asked, sitting down beside Sir Aiden Vale. Sir Aiden Vale repeated the fragmented words. Lysandra Crowe stood nearby, listening intently, her eyes distant as if aligning invisible pieces. "It's not just a beast trying to kill us," Lysandra Crowe said after a long pause. "It's something cut off from something else. It's trying to reclaim what we stole." Outside, the Lumina hunter still waited, its smoky body coiled around trunks, ember eyes fixed on the ruins like a starving ghost watching their fragile refuge. Inside the ruined chapel, morning was nothing more than a thin gray light slipping through the collapsed roof, neither dawn nor night. Sir Garrick Thorn stood near the broken archway, watching the forest where the Lumina hunter still circled like a hungry shadow in the distance. Sir Aiden Vale sat with his back against a fallen stone, hand still resting on his sword. But his eyes followed Lysandra Crowe as she walked along the wall behind the altar. Lysandra Crowe ran her fingers along protruding, moss-covered stone lines, as if the wall were hiding something. "There's a relief here," Lysandra Crowe said. "Someone tried to bury it under moss and thyme." Corin picked up a broken shard of brick, stepped up beside Lysandra Crowe, and carefully scraped away the moss. Green sheets falling like old skin. Slowly, the shape of a tree emerged, trunk rising straight, roots plunging into a carved region of darkness, its crown spreading to cradle chiseled rays of light. "The ancient light tree," Lysandra Crowe whispered, "the prototype of every rite in this forest." Sir Garrick Thorn narrowed his eyes at the roots carved as coils touching the dark patch beneath. It keeps the balance, he said. Gives darkness a place to lie, and light a place to return to. Beside the relief, almost eroded inscriptions clung to the stone. Lysandra Crowe carefully touched each character, naming them in an older tongue.
This ancient tree tells
The ritual
tales of forgotten
tore light
realms.
from its root. Lysandra Crowe translated, eyes fixed on the stone,
They are the grasping
imprisoned
tendrils
it
of oblivion,
in relics carried
ever
by
seeking
human
to
hands.
consume the light.
Sir Aiden Vale recalled
the
the blazing
shadows
relics in the
of
sanctum,
old.
flames caged in metal and glass.
A new dawn
They pulled the light
breaks.
out of the tree, he said softly,
Untreed hath hold eye
and
to
left a
haste,
vacancy.
and
Lysandra
the
Crowe
abyss
went
shall
on.
consume all.
Vacancies don't stay empty for long. Corin looked up at the
Sanctum's
relief,
relics.
then out toward the forest where the Lumina hunter prowled. That
I
vacancy
remember now.
gave birth to the Light Hunter, he said.
The
Sir
ancient
Garrick
root
Thorn was
bears
silent for a
shadow.
long moment before he said, I heard stories like this when I was a young soldier. Sir Aiden Vale looked up. Where? Every land, Sir Garrick Thorn said,
It was always
once had a
something
source of its own. A spring, a stone, a tree, where light and dark traded fairly. If the tree here has cracked, Sir Garrick Thorn continued, and birthed a Light Hunter, then the other sources in the world may be cracking too. Sir Aiden Vale pictured creatures like the Lumina Hunter crawling out of forests, deserts, and snow peaks far away, and his stomach nodded. We can't just kill it, Lysandra Crowe said. If we kill the hunter without returning light to the tree, the vacancy remains. Something else will be born. Sir Garrick Thorn nodded slowly. Then our target isn't just the beast, he said. It's the ancient light tree. The forest's heart, Lysandra Crowe said, glancing
I understand
outside.
the risks,
Where the dark
but the
is too
path
dense
ahead
for eyes
requires
to
an
pierce.
unwavering will
That's where the tree
and a
must be.
united front.
Sir Aiden Vale tightened his grip on his sword. Then we find it, he said, and bring the light back to its roots. Corin looked from Sir Garrick Thorn to Lysandra Crowe.
This
I'm
way.
going with you, he said. This forest already owes us too many people. They left the ruin with the altar's faint light clinging to their backs like a fragile blessing. The deeper they went, the more the forest warped. Trunks bent like broken spines, branches sagged like
Whatever
arms
comes
stretched
next.
too far.
We face it together.
Roots bulged out of the ground, coiling around ankles and calves like skinny hands trying to hold them back. Don't stop, Sir Garrick Thorn growled, hacking through a mat of roots crawling over the path. Lysandra Crowe walked between Sir Garrick Thorn and Sir Aiden Vale, her staff casting a dim glow that did not banish the dark, but held it half a step away. After a time, Sir Aiden Vale suddenly heard a village bell far away, a sound he hadn't heard since he'd left home years ago. Between the trunks, Sir Aiden Vale glimpsed a familiar wooden roof, an open door, warm firelight within, the shadow of a woman waiting. It isn't real, Lysandra Crowe said sharply, seizing Sir Aiden Vale's wrist and pulling him on. The dark is using your memories, Lysandra Crowe said. If you answer, it'll pull you off the path. On the other side, Corin heard children laughing among the trunks. The shapes of Duskedge's village children ran between roots, then vanished into blackness.
Look at it. Come on.
Sir Garrick Thorn laid a heavy hand on Corin's shoulder. Eyes forward,
Forest
he
holds
said.
more than just
The
trees
forest's
and
debt
shadows,
gets
Sir.
paid later.
It
Not today.
remembers.
Then it was Sir Garrick Thorn's turn. He heard steel snapping, comrades' dying shouts from an old battle. Their silhouettes emerged ahead, arms outstretched, faces eyeless. Sir Garrick Thorn paused for half a heartbeat, then clenched his fist over the scar at his neck.
Focus.
I buried you already, he said softly. I won't dig the graves back up. Lysandra Crowe felt the unseen stares of long-dead priests from old rites glaring at her from the trunks, but she did not turn.
Path ahead remains.
The darkness inside us is reflecting outward, Lysandra Crowe said. To reach the tree, we walk through it without letting it steer our hands. At last there were no more illusions, only a dense wall of darkness ahead, so black that Lysandra Crowe's staff light was swallowed a few paces out. "This is the center," Lysandra Crowe said softly. "The dark here isn't an absence, it's a thing in itself." Sir Garrick Thorn took a deep breath and stepped in first like a man walking out onto a black lake. Sir Aiden Vale followed close behind Sir Garrick Thorn. Lysandra Crowe and Corin went next, keeping their hands near to avoid losing each other. The dark wrapped around them like deep water, but then ahead, a thin smear of light appeared, not from the staff, but leaking from somewhere else. They stepped out of the thick dark into a silent hollow. At its center loomed the ancient light tree, towering yet withered. Its trunk was split wide, cracks running down it like lightning scars, exposing a pale inner core of wood. In the center of the split core, deep like a hollow, lay a trapped streak of light. It did not shine outward, only churned slowly like a flame locked inside stone. "The light root," Lysandra Crowe whispered. "They drained almost all of it. What's left is locked in here." Sir Garrick Thorn laid his hand on the bark and felt it cold as gravestone, nothing like living wood. Sir Aiden Vale looked around, seeing the tree's massive roots dive into the earth, then vanish into the darkness below like severed cables. "If we don't reconnect the current of light to its root," Lysandra Crowe said, "any light out there will keep getting devoured. Like blood no longer returning to the heart," Sir Garrick Thorn said. "The body will create something else to fill the gap." Corin pointed to a section of bark where strange markings had been carved, unlike any sanctum rune. The mark was an incomplete circle cut through by intersecting lines. It resembled a symbol Lysandra Crowe had once seen in an old manuscript about a distant civilization beyond the Ever-Dusk Forest. "This symbol," Lysandra Crowe said, "it belongs to the sky weavers far to the north, where the sun doesn't set in summer. If they touch the tree here," Lysandra Crowe went on, "it means there are other trees linked together in a network we've never understood." Sir Aiden Vale looked from the locked light core to the strange mark and out to the sea of dark trees. "If one knot in the net tears," he said quietly, "the whole weave feels the strain." "And if we mend this knot," Sir Garrick Thorn said, "maybe the others will stop tearing, at least for a while." Lysandra Crowe placed both hands on the trunk, closed her eyes, and felt the strangled current of light within like a faint heartbeat. "Killing the hunter is only cutting away a symptom," Lysandra Crowe said softly, as if to herself. "If we don't heal the root, the sickness will find another way back." Inside the split core, the streak of light swirled a little slower, as if sensing the touch, but remained shackled by thin strands of darkness like cobwebs. In that moment, Sir Aiden Vale understood that the road ahead would not only be slaughter in Ever-Dusk Forest, but learning how to return the light to where it belonged, before the world, filled with light hunters. Beneath the forest's thick heart dark, time meant nothing. Only the ancient light tree stood there, a colossal skeleton driven into a pit of shadow. Lysandra Crowe set her satchel on a root and spread out her sanctum tools. Rune-carved stones, silver wire, shards of old glass still clinging to a faint glow. Sir Aiden Vale stood beside the split core hollow, watching the swirling light deep within like a tired eye refusing to close. "It isn't dead," Lysandra Crowe said without looking up. "The tree still has a seed of light sleeping inside." Corin braced his axe and glanced from Lysandra Crowe up to the split trunk. "Can you wake it?" he asked. "Not the old way," Lysandra Crowe replied. "The rite they used here was meant to bind light, turn it into a prisoner." Lysandra Crowe looked up at Sir Garrick Thorn, Sir Aiden Vale, and Corin. "We need a new cleansing rite, not to chain light, but to return it to its proper flow." Sir Garrick Thorn raised a brow. "Flow? Light is never meant to sit still," Lysandra Crowe said. "It moves from source to tree to people, then back. They tried to cut that loop and cage it all in relics. Sir Aiden Vale thought of the trapped glow in the core. If we unlock this seed without the flow restored, something else will just eat it, he said. Exactly. Lysandra Crowe nodded. So we rebuild a light network, not crammed into one person or thing, but spread through many. Lysandra Crowe picked up the sanctum relics they'd brought, metal tokens etched with the blazing spear, small stones once blessed, now only faintly aglow. We plant these relics around the center, Lysandra Crowe said. Form a ring of small, even lights, tied back into the tree. Sir Garrick Thorn looked at the resting Dawnspear knights nearby. Each of you takes a relic, he said. You'll be the lantern eyes of her network. The unnamed Dawnspear knights traded glances, then nodded one by one and stepped forward to take relics from Lysandra Crowe's hands. Hold your mind steady, Lysandra Crowe told them. When the lonely echo screams, if the light in your hearts goes out, the network breaks. Sir Aiden Vale looked at Lysandra Crowe. What about the tree's light seed? Lysandra Crowe stepped close to the hollow and pressed her staff to the split wood. I'll draw out a fragment, she said. Not to cage it, but to drain and guide it. We need someone to hold it. The inner light shivered, and a thin strand peeled from the swirl, running along Lysandra Crowe's staff like a trickling stream. Lysandra Crowe guided the strand into a rough crystal shard, where it coiled upon itself like a tiny sleeping sun seed. She turned and set the crystal into Sir Aiden Vale's hand. You hear the echo clearest, Lysandra Crowe said. The seed will answer you more easily. Sir Garrick Thorn frowned. The youngest of us holding the root, he said. That's the most dangerous place. He also has the strongest light left, Lysandra Crowe replied, not flinching from Sir Garrick Thorn's gaze. Sir Aiden Vale closed his fist around the crystal, feeling a strange, faint heartbeat merging with his own. From now on, Lysandra Crowe said, you're the drain between the tree and the light network. Don't let the echo snuff you out. They began the placement. Corin led a group of Dawnspear knights in a circle, pinning each relic into the soil like tiny beacons around the tree. Each relic emitted a feeble light, almost nothing alone, but from above, the scattered glows formed a faint ring around the center. This circle isn't a wall, Lysandra Crowe said when they returned. It's a circuit. You'll be the eyes of its lamps. Sir Garrick Thorn walked the circle, touching a hand to each Dawnspear shoulder. When the echo comes, remember this. Fear is its own darkness. Don't let it touch the fire in your chest. Once all were in place, Lysandra Crowe took her stance against the tree, Sir Aiden Vale beside her with the seed in his hand. Sir Garrick Thorn and Corin guarding the front, facing the forest where the Lumina hunter prowled. Begin the cleansing rite, Lysandra Crowe said, eyes closing. Don't hold the light for yourselves. Let it pass through. Lysandra Crowe whispered new incantations, woven from old runes and her fresh understanding of flow. Light from the relics began to lace together, in threads, fine as hair. A thin branch of the flowing light split off, clinging to the seed in Sir Aiden Vale's hand, then streaming back into the tree's core. Sir Aiden Vale felt himself become a piece of conduit, light entering his hand, passing through his chest, down into the earth and back to the tree. At the forest's edge, the Lumina hunter jolted, its smoky body tightened, ember eyes flaring as if someone had stoked coals within. The Lumina hunter crept closer, shadow legs stabbing into the ground as its giant spider body dragged toward the ring of relics. As the light network strengthened, the Lumina hunter roared, and the lonely echo exploded again in everyone's heads like a storm of sound. A few Dawnspear knights buckled to one knee, but the relics in their hands only flickered before steadying. The circuit's light did not fully go out. One relic near the Lumina hunter fell within its reach. Its inner light was drained in a single heartbeat, Yet the other lines rushed to fill the gap, the stream thinning but not breaking. "Dim, continuous, and spread out," Lysandra Crowe said through her teeth. "It can't swallow it all at once." The Lumina hunter grew increasingly feral, snapping at the little lights again and again, only making the network convulse, never fully tearing it. Sir Aiden Vale felt the lonely echo change. Amid the screams and sobbing, he heard hoarse, regretful voices. "We bound the light. Forgive," he glimpsed sanctum priests in robes raising blazing relics, then being swallowed by the smoky spider shadow. Their voices stretched endlessly within the echo. "Lysandra," Sir Aiden Vale gasped. "They're inside it. The ones from the failed ritual, trapped in there." Lysandra Crowe opened her eyes for a heartbeat, watching the Lumina hunter writhing beyond the ring. "If this cleansing works," she said, "either they're freed or erased forever." The Lumina hunter circled the ring for a long, tense stretch, then suddenly slunk back, sensing that this dispersed light current was too hard to consume. Lysandra Crowe lowered her staff, letting the light network settle into rest, leaving the relics faintly glowing but no longer tightly linked. Sir Garrick Thorn turned to Lysandra Crowe. "The network works," he said, "but it only pushes it back, not into where we need it." "We need it right here," Lysandra Crowe said, touching the tree's trunk. "Inside the ring, beside the tree, when the cleansing peaks." Corin planted his axe in the ground. "To bring a beast to a trap," he said. "You show it bait. It can't resist." Lysandra Crowe looked at the seed in Sir Aiden Vale's hand, then at the dim relics. "We need a lighthouse," she said. "One strong point of light inside the ring to draw it in." "One of us as bait," Sir Garrick Thorn concluded. "Use all their light, stand at the circle's heart, accept the risk of being drained." Sir Aiden Vale immediately shook his head. "If someone has to hold the seed and stand in the center, it's me," he said. "It's already latched on to me." "No," Sir Garrick Thorn answered at once. "My light's already fading. If it drains me, the damage to the circuit will be less. I understand the play. I'll be the bait." "It's weak, that's exactly why it won't gorge on you," Sir Aiden Vale shot back. "It will ignore you and snap at something else. It won't come where we need it." Sir Garrick Thorn gripped Sir Aiden Vale's shoulder hard. "The young are the ones who should live to carry this tale out of the forest," he said. "And who leads the circuit if I die on the outer ring?" Sir Aiden Vale replied, not backing down. "The seed has already chosen me." Lysandra Crowe stepped between them, raising a hand. "Enough," she said. "It isn't about strong or weak light. It's about how it connects. I'll design the right so whoever stands at the center keeps nothing for themselves," Lysandra Crowe went on. "They're only a doorway. The light will belong to everyone. Doorways can still be crushed," Corin said quietly. Sir Aiden Vale heard remnant wisps of the lonely echo, weaker now, like wind over graves. "Return, the root." He opened his eyes and met Sir Garrick Thorn's. "If I'm the bait," Sir Aiden Vale said, "you hold the ring and drag me out if there's still time." "Sirs." Garrick Thorn started to shake his head, then stopped, looking at the seed in Sir Aiden Vale's hand, at Lysandra Crowe, at the tree. "We have one more night to prepare," Lysandra Crowe said softly. "Tomorrow night, when it comes again for the light, we make our final attempt." At the dark's rim, the Lumina hunter lay still as a smear of thick smoke, its ember eyes never leaving the tree and the newborn light network. The final night hung over Ever-Dusk Forest like a debt come due. Beneath the ancient light tree, Sir Aiden Vale stood before the split core, the seed of light in his hand beating with his heart. Sir Garrick Thorn stood opposite him, helm tucked under his arm, staring straight at Sir Aiden Vale.
Yes, Sir Garrick.
"Decided?" "My light matches it," Sir Aiden Vale said. "If anyone's the lure, It has to be me.
I must secure
Sir Garrick
this
Thorn
relic.
drew a deep breath, swallowing one last protest. I'll lead the right, he said. I hold the ring, and I drag you out if there's time. Lysandra Crowe stood off to one side, staff braced against a root, eyes moving between them. You both know the price, she said. Now do it right. Around the hollow's rim, Corin and the Dawnspear knights took their places beside dim relics, forming a broad ring encircling the tree. From now on, Sir Garrick Thorn called out, his voice ringing over the roots, there are no lone knights, only one network. Sir Aiden Vale stepped into the circle's heart, back near the tree, facing the forest, the seed cradled between both hands at his chest. The Lumina hunter lay motionless at the forest's edge like frozen smoke, but when Sir Aiden Vale stopped, its eyes flared redder. Lysandra Crowe set her staff against the trunk and began chanting the new rite, words not pleading for victory, but naming balance. Sir Garrick Thorn raised his voice above hers, leading the Dawnspear knights in, not a war song, but a vow to return light to its root. The seed in Sir Aiden Vale's hands grew hotter, not burning skin, but piercing bone. He drew a deep breath and opened his palms. Light poured from the seed into Sir Aiden Vale's chest, then burst outward around him, turning him into a human-shaped lantern amid the black forest. The light was not blinding, but soft blue-white, like a compressed dawn in human form. The Lumina hunter lunged up at once, its smoky body spreading like a poisonous cloud, shadow legs stabbing deep into the ground with each charging stride. Hold the current, Sir Garrick Thorn roared, raising his sword, the chant never breaking. The Lumina hunter swept across the relic ring, a shadow leg scything through. One relic fell dark, but the others flared to compensate, the circuit merely narrowing. Then all its shadow legs wrapped around Sir Aiden Vale, coiling over shoulders, chest, and throat like a spider embracing a living torch. Sir Aiden Vale felt each heartbeat drag a stream of light out of him, flowing into the Lumina hunter's smoky mass. Don't fight the flow, Lysandra Crowe shouted. Let it pass through you into the tree. Sir Aiden Vale let go of his fear, imagining himself not as the last candle, but as a river bend guiding water back to its source. The light no longer flowed only into the Lumina hunter. From Sir Aiden Vale's body, a thick branch of radiance split off, diving into the ground, racing along the tree's roots into the core. The tree's core flared, the once trapped streak swelling and snapping the cobweb-thin strands of darkness that shackled it. From the roots, light surged back up, spreading across the ground, shoving the thick darkness away like a black tide forced into retreat. Outside, the lonely echo screamed again as the Lumina hunter was dragged into the rising light from the tree. Yet this time the scream held not only despair, but sobbing. The Lumina hunter's smoky body began to tear apart, chunks ripping free and hurtling along the light stream toward the roots and core of the tree. In each torn wisp, Sir Aiden Vale glimpsed human shapes. Knights, priests, villagers long missing, all compressed into shadow. Some fragments crashed to earth and solidified into real bodies. Villagers collapsing among the roots, eyes wide in bewilderment, exhaling like from a long dream. A few Dawnspear knights thought dead appeared as well, armor shredded, faces much older, a thin rim of darkness glinting at the edges of their irises. The rest of the black smoke that held no human shape thinned into dust and dissolved into the tree's light like salt in water, leaving no trace. The lonely echo sank from a scream to a whisper. Thank you, returned, to us, then fell silent, like a door softly closing. As the light settled, Sir Aiden Vale was no longer standing. He lay motionless among the roots, his armor faded, as if someone had drained the color from the steel. Sir Garrick Thorn knelt, pressed his ear to Sir Aiden Vale's chest. At first he heard nothing but cold silence. Lysandra Crowe stood beside them, eyes fixed on the tree's core brightening, roots trembling as if taking a first breath after a long coma. The tree's light did not explode in brilliance but spread into an extended sunset, covering the forest in warm violet orange, banishing the eternal night. Corin looked up at the new sky, squinting into the gentle glow. For the first time in a long while, the forest no longer swallowed the lines of his face. The returned villagers and knights sat back against roots, staring at one another in confusion, light and shadow mingling in their eyes. A thin black ring around each pupil. They carry a piece of the dark, Lysandra Crowe said softly. But they're no longer devoured by it. Sir Garrick Thorn tightened his fist on Sir Aiden Vale's chest. Wake up, boy, he whispered. No one can tell this story in your place. A still moment passed. Then Sir Garrick Thorn felt a faint, unfamiliar beat. Not just Sir Aiden Vale's heart, but a light current flowing through. Sir Aiden Vale drew a ragged breath and opened his eyes. In his sight, relics, the tree, and everyone around were linked by faint light lines only he could see. You're still here, Sir Garrick Thorn said, lowering his forehead to rest lightly against Sir Aiden Vale's brow of steel. The light, Sir Aiden Vale whispered. I can see it, and where it's tearing. Meanwhile, the tree's trunk shifted. Faint glowing lines appeared along the cracked bark, linking into a rough map across its surface. Lysandra Crowe stepped closer, touching one glowing point with a fingertip. This is this forest, she said. The Ever-Dusk source. More glowing points appeared on the bark, linked by slender lines. One far north, one by a distant sea, one deep in snowbound mountains. Some of the lights on the map dimmed, flickering like lamps about to die, the lines toward them trembling. Sir Garrick Thorn looked from the map to the forest around them, now bathed in warm dusk, the eternal darkness gone. The Light Hunter was only the first monster, Sir Garrick Thorn said quietly. A predator born when we twisted the light. Lysandra Crowe watched the failing points. Other places are cracking, she said. Other sources crying out. Sir Aiden Vale, still propped against the roots, looked up at the light map with eyes that now saw even the thinnest currents. And not all of them will make hunters, he murmured. Other darknesses will come. On the tree's bark, the points of light still glimmered, some blinking like warnings. The new dusk lay over Ever-Dusk Forest, peaceful but far from safe.